today we are kicking off with where we stopped last year, December, when the whole of the year we have been looking at transformational leadership, and we wrap it up with the two individuals in the Bible, and that is Obadiah and Elijah. Because transformational leadership is not just a theoretical knowledge, but also how does this relate and connect with the reality of our world that we serve. We find these two individuals that they are an example, the prototype, that we can borrow some wisdom and understanding. How do we become the real ambassador of Christ in our spheres of life and different areas that we operate from? So we have our four distinguished individual members of the platform, and some of members of the platform that we know one another. But also, Professor Eson is not new to us. Some of us will recollect in September, he took us through biblical psychology. So graciously is agreed even to be part of today. And so briefly I will be introducing, but just to give us an idea of what the program will look like, and so that we can also prepare to engage into this conversation, because we call it conversation. It's a build on the conversation we started in December around these two individuals. And as we all will agree with me, we discovered that day that there's still a lot to unearth from these two individuals, and that's based on comments and suggestions from us from the platform. We say, okay, we will continue to discuss it. This forum is not just to tick to say, yes, we did it, but we want to make sure that we intentionally engage, and also we have a clarity as to what we are discussing so that we can apply them. It's not just about head knowledge. It's about speaking to our heart and our mind, and also taking it to our constituency for societal transformation. So the format for today, each of the speakers will give their opening speech of 10 minutes each, and just give us an idea from different aspects that they will be speaking into this subject matter. And we have one will speak into from the government and business point of view. Another one will speak into the area of academic. How do we become a transformational leadership? Applying the same principle of Obadiah model and the Elijah model. Then we have individual will speak into the area of church leadership and also development agency. So we are so blessed that we are kicking off with this amazing four individuals this year, and who's going to set the tune even for some of us in our spheres of engagement in life. So after that, each opening speech, then we have 30 minutes for question and answer, Q&A, and please try to, maybe you have some questions, some things burning through your heart since the last time we met in December. This will become an opportunity for us to engage those thoughts or interrogate those areas that we needed some explanation or engagement. Yeah, so we will still try to keep within the time. So please, let's be at alert and ready to jump into conversation when the platform is open for that. So let me quickly, we know them, but just to add to what is already on the flyer, let me start from our sister, Dr. Alice Banzi. She is a commissioner for Mozambique Electoral Commission, but apart from being one of the chair for Women, Academy for Africa, apart from being 100 most influential women in Africa, apart from being an ambassador for Napecacos, Mozambique. She is also the founder of the organization called African Women Leadership Network, and also an advisor to an organization or intervention called Urgent Action Fund for the Lusophone countries in Africa. She's an author of books, and at least she has put 3 or more books behind her, and that is African Women Protocol, Annexing of Potential Force for Positive Change, and Child Marriage. She had opportunity to look at that book when she published it, dealing with the issue of child marriage, most especially within Mozambique and Africa as a whole. Also, she's the executive director for Gender and Sustainable Development Association, a strategic partner with the Parliament and Minister of Gender, apart from the portfolio of being the commissioner for Electoral Commission of Mozambique. And also follow with that would be Professor Olufemi Eshan. Professor Eshan, apart from what is on the flyer, just want for us to aware of the fact that he is an attaché for the academic, scientific and professional affairs for Consular of Republic of Côte d'Ivoire in Republic of Malta. And also is the chaplain general for Sovereignty of Order of St. John of Jerusalem and Malta. We have also, let me jump into the next one, and that is Dr. Julius. Dr. Julius have over 40 years, because he retired about 5-7 years ago back in Nigeria, but he is not tired. He stay active, engaging, and he is one of our, he is one, I would say, our elder state on this platform. We would really appreciate your level of commitment, encouragement, and I would say, you wouldn't want me to say this, behind the scene, it challenged me quite a lot. TK, we need to do this. TK, we need to do that. I say, okay, sir, we will do it. So, in fact, it takes a lot of responsibility behind the scene on this platform in terms of suggestion, in terms of idea. And I want to say thank you, sir, for your commitment, for your passion for developing leader on the continent. Dr. Julius have behind him over 40 years of consultancy engagement. The first 20 years was to consult within the academic and the government agency in Nigeria. And he spent 20 years in East Africa, working in 18 countries in the area of leadership development, consulting for NGO and parachurch organization. So we are blessed to have you, Dr. Julius. And last not the least is my friend, Dr. Sam Dlamini. I will say all the speakers are friends, and all of you on the platform, you are friends. So I just want to make sure that that is used clearly. So Dr. Sam is the president of Africa Leadership Institute in Swaziland, called Eswatini, for those of us who are confused about which country is Eswatini, because they keep on changing title in that country. Well, we forgive them. He is the former General Secretary, General Superintendent of Assemblies of God, and currently is the Senior Pastor, International Mission Center in Mazini, Kingdom of Eswatini. Well, these are the panelists for today with what experience, understanding, and engagement in different capacity. If you want to put their years of experience into metric and quantitative form, we are talking about not less than 150 years of experience. If we are to put it together, all of us on this platform will be talking of 1,000, if not even more. So we are so blessed to have such a platform whereby we can challenge and empower one another for purpose of effectiveness for the common good of the humanity. So this morning, I would like to start calling the first panelist to give the opening speech, and that will be in the person of Dr. Alice Bansi. Please, the floor is yours to give us your opening speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the TK, and good morning, everybody, men of God, academics, and everyone that are joining us through this platform. To be sincerely, I thank God for being part of this gathering. When the TK sent me the invitation, I was like, oh my God, I'm so honored to be part of, but what am I going to say? And as always, God has a plan. Always He makes things ways where it seems that there's no way. And I'm really honored and humbled to be part of the most experienced panelists that are here in this panel, and I will just share a little bit of I've managed. Oh, God is putting in my heart in this topic of transformational leadership, looking at Obadiah and Elijah model. And I was asked to speak from the government and business point of view. So I will share what is coming in my heart and what also it's my day-to-day experience. In the past, we used to speak about only leadership, but as the time goes, as we see a lot of need among the people, we believe that we need to really to jump to transformational leadership, which I believe that was the really a good topic. And because we are human beings and we didn't just made ourselves. The life that we are living, for me, it's something that is already written in the Bible. It's something that God already predicted. So we are talking about this transformational leadership, but it's something that we have two people which we can see as the model, which is Obadiah and Elijah. So for me, when I speak about the transformational leadership in politics, I'm speaking about a leadership in spaces where you have to deal with power, in spaces where you need to deal with influence, in spaces where you have to deal with situations where by sometimes it's over your control. But because God is there, you end up managing how to maneuver in those places for it's where I felt that it was really very strong to bring that model of Elijah and Obadiah. And then those spaces, most of the time, they shape policies, they shape issues of economy, they shape issues of how the society needs to live, the attitude and behavior of the society. But many Christians, it's from my point of view, most of the times they feel discomforted with these spaces because of who we are as a Christians. But most of the time, we'll find that to overcome those spaces, we have faith. We have to have faith, and then which we challenge those spaces within, in between churches and boardrooms, because we have this situation where you have to bring this transformational leadership within the church, but also you have to challenge the same, I will say, convictions that you have in the boardrooms. So coming back to the book of First King 18, where we meet Obadiah, a man who served the place of King Ahab. This was one of the men that we could feel that has a history with in Israel. But at the same time, Obadiah feared Lord. But he also worked within the deeper compromise system, which is the same thing that is happening with us as human, that as much as we fear God, we most of the time we work in compromise system. I'll give an example as a commissioner where I have to deal with different constituencies, but at the same time, I need to bring that faith, and I need to be impartial. I need to bring to ensure that whatever I have to do, I need to do within fearing God. So Obadiah, although he was part of this challenging, he didn't withdraw. He just engaged, and then he took some strategic position, and then at a great risk, but because he sustains God's purposes. And then you find that Obadiah shows us that faithful leadership can exist inside imperfect systems. This is what I found from Obadiah, because the system, it's something more complicated from where I see it and from the work that I've been doing. But hence Obadiah he managed to show that although he was in a complicated and challenging system, he was continuing faithful to God, and then he did show his leadership. And we take the side of Elijah, where Elijah didn't work within the place, but he confronted it. Elijah preferred to confront the place. Elijah, he was able to, to stand against injustice. I will give an example. Most of the time, I prefer to share my own and personal story when it comes to the type of leadership, let's say, for example, of Elijah. Within the commission, there was a time, most of the time, the law says that, or direct us that if there is no consensus, we need to go for vote. So within the process of elections, there was no consensus, so we have to vote. And in the process of voting, there was someone that just decided to cancel the process and say that we cannot vote. And he wanted to tear up all the votes, and within those votes, there were my chair. And then there was a vote of my chair, which is the chair of the Mozambique Electoral Commission. To be honest, I don't know how this happened, but I end up seeing myself holding the box that we put our votes and running and standing behind my chair, and I screamed. I said, no one is going to tear the votes of our leader. And then I said that we are not here to like our leader, but we are here to respect him. He didn't place himself here. But we cannot all of a sudden start tearing up his vote, even the vote of everyone that is here. And then it was a challenging situation, but I felt that it was an injustice that was happening. There was another way we could have done it, not to decide to tear up the vote. So when I see the situation of Elijah, as I was preparing for this conversation, I felt that wow, it's something that I've done without even reading deeper as I did read now. But it's something that is already there in the Bible, that you can stand up and then fight injustice. And in those environments of policies, most of the times you have to do that, because there's no way you can get out of injustice without even making sure that at the same time you fear God. So and one of the things that also, uh, when you represent different constituencies and you have to remain faithful to biblical convictions, it's something that is also challenging, where I found myself that most of the time I have to deal with both situations, but I had to continue faithful to the biblical convictions. And for me, within the leadership that I've been practicing, most of the time I've been guided from the 4 E's, which is something that I found also in Obadiah and Elijah, which is the expression, the elements, the energy that and the essence. And those are the things that they brings you to be a leader, which you lead with humility. It's not easy to lead with humility, and leading with humility doesn't mean that you cannot take decisions. And leading, it doesn't mean, as a leader, doesn't mean that you have to take authority over other people without even listening to them. So this essence, the elements and the energy that is within me, I get all these elements from this energy from God. And the essence of this leadership, it drives me. It's part of what my day to day, and listening to other people whom I lead, as well as I'm teaching them to grow. It's something that has been guiding me. So I believe that, TK, we have a lot of things to say, but I believe I will continue saying. I just want to share one sentence that I felt that it's something that it's within me. That when we talk about leadership in politics and business, we are really talking about power and influence and resources. And the question is never whether these things exist, but who they serve. Whom are they serve, those things that we are talking about? And looking at the book of Kings, God placed these two faithful leaders, which is Obadiah and Elijah, which one works quietly within the power and structure, and ones confront them boldly. Both are faithful, both are necessary, and both challenge us to rethink that transformational leadership looks like when faith meets real world complexity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your opening speech. And we come back to you as we continue, to engage with you and your thoughts, the thoughts you just presented. Thank you so much. Next will be, I think we'll allow everyone to present. Please be jotting down your question that you may want to engage the speaker with. This time, I'm going to call on Professor Esson to give us his opening speech. Professor Esson, over to you,
sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Happy New Year. And good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for this great opportunity to be part of this wonderful occasion this morning. I'm going to share my slide and uh, with us to actually look at this topic before me. Just a little background to my, to the basis of my argument today. Looking at, I would say the premise of my discourse this morning. I argue that transformational leadership within education must be based on spiritual ontology, and that is the premise of my discussion this morning. I strongly also believe, looking at the Obadiah and Elijah model, in terms of looking at spiritual leadership. I decided to use the word spiritual leadership, not religious leadership, sir, to look within the secular domain of leadership. And so that also can be brought under the general umbrella of the church in the marketplace. I repeat that the church in the marketplace, because when we're looking at leadership within the domain of the Christian education, we are not looking at leadership from religious aspect. Now, we're not talking about how does the church in the marketplace of academia. That is the focus. And so for us to experience or to demonstrate transformational leadership within the academia, I strongly believe that the foundation of that is built on spiritual ontology in academic leadership. And so quickly, definition of that. So I decided to move along the line of philosophical ontology in education. And just because of time, simply the nature of reality. And when we look at the philosophy of education, ontology is a fundamental aspect of the philosophy of education. That is, you are dealing with knowledge here. As we all know, that before you have a knowledge, which is your epistemology, you must come from a particular ontology. That is, you must come from a particular domain of reality, because your understanding and your assumption of reality determines your knowledge. So knowledge is drawn from a particular philosophical ontology foundation. And when we talk about transformational leadership within the academia, you are talking about spiritual ontology of the leader. So to be a transformational leader in academia, I strongly argue that we are going to influence that marketplace of education by your own spiritual ontology of the leader. And what does that simply mean? The spiritual ontology in academia is also defined as the leader's academic leadership refers to a leader's foundational beliefs about the nature of being itself, that is ontology, and how these beliefs influence their leadership style, decision making, and interaction within the academic environment, and it is the marketplace of academic environment as a Christian leader. And so spiritual ontology in this context helps academic leaders move beyond a mechanistic view of education to a more holistic, human-centered approach that educates both the mind and the spirit. And you can see that when you look at the dominant hegemony of education of the Western Western hemisphere of the globe, it is built on the ontology of materialism, and that is a major problem. So for a Christian academia and leader, to be able to demonstrate transformational leadership using the Obadiah's model, I strongly believe that leader must examine their own spiritual ontology. That is it. And when they embrace a spiritual ontology, which now influence their leadership style, their decision-making process, and their interaction within the academia, they will be able to influence not just the cognitive aspect of the student, they will also affect the spirit of the student. That is very important to be transformational because we believe that transformational leadership has to do with your spiritual education, educating the mind and educating the spirit of the student. And so that leads us to coming from the biblical aspect. So what is biblical spiritual ontology? It also explores the nature of spiritual reality and being as revealed in the Bible. Focusing on God's triune nature, and is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as the ultimate being, and that is what we call the ultimate reality in transpersonal psychology. So the spiritual constitution of humanity, and that's what we're talking about, which is built on the trichotomy of the spirit, the soul, and the body. And so this explains to us that when you are educating an individual, you have to educate them holistically and to be transformational. So transformational leadership now is built on the tripartite nature. So you cannot transform without transforming the spirit, the soul, and the body of the student. And so to bring transformational leadership within the sphere of academia, we have to address the ontology of the particular curriculum we are talking about. But in this case, we are talking about the true spiritual ontology is purely biblical, and that is ontological reality of the church as Christ's body, and emphasizing that spiritual existence is defined by God's love and Christ. And this is true reality underlying physical creation, influencing how believers understand themselves, God, and their purpose. So when we approach from this dimension, that leader becomes transformational because this spiritual ontology, based on biblical psychology, form the very essence of his understanding of reality. And so his interaction, his leadership style is coming from a spiritual ontology based on biblical psychology. And so this leader within the academic sphere will be able to influence not just the cognitive aspect of the student, their soul, their mind, and also educate their spirit. Because we strongly believe that the spiritual growth is the foundation of transformational leadership. I'll say that again. Spiritual growth is the true foundation of transformational leadership. And so, because of time, and looking at the ontology of spirituality again, this explores the fundamental nature of spirituality itself, whether it is an inherent or static attribute of a person or a dynamic manifestation that changes with situation or context. In academic leadership, specifically, this determines if spirituality is viewed as an intrinsic part of the leader's identity or as a set of behaviors and values that can be adopted or developed. Now, this also helps us to shift towards what we call inclusivity in education. And there is a growing movement in academic literature and practice to integrate spiritual dimension into higher education, leadership training and pedagogy. And this also goes beyond religion. Now, in academic context, spirituality typically transcends specific religious practices, focusing instead on universal values, a sense of purpose, ethical conduct, and inner growth, which form the foundation of true transformational leadership. And I'm going to end up, with this. That is the core practice and dimension of that within the academia. Now, when you embrace a spiritual ontology that forms the part of the essential identity of an academic leader, that gives that leader the basis to influence and to become transformational, not just only within the academia, but within his own personal life also, and his own spiritual growth as well. In other words, summary, we can say academic leaders with a strong spiritual ontology often exhibit the following qualities, now, which contribute to more positive and effective academic environment. Number one, authenticity and integrity. Leaders operate from a place of inner clarity. Yes, a strong moral compass which builds trust and encourages ethical behavior among faculty and students. Vision and purpose. As we know, this is one of the core ingredients of transformational leadership. They inspire others by connecting their work to a larger, meaningful vision beyond day-to-day tasks, fostering a sense of calling and shared purpose. Lastly, empathy and compassion. Prioritizing humanity, these leaders engage in conversation that foster genuine engagement, a deeper understanding of individuals' needs and aspirations, which help with difficult situations and conflict resolution. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Pro. Thank you, Pro. I tell you, the core dimension really drive everything home for me. Thank you so much. Don't let me start engaging your thought. Okay, thank you so much, Paul, for the presentation. This time, I want to call on Dr. Sam Dilamini. Please, it's your time. Take us on. And before, please, I want to remind us, please try to put down your questions, some of the things you may want to engage the speaker with. Thank you. Okay. Dr. Sam, over to you.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks, Brother TK, and also all the leaders on the platform. We are so grateful for this time. Basically, for me, this is a topic that is so practical as a spiritual leader, as a pastor, and a trainer of pastors. I've gone through quite a lot and seeing that exploring the integration of faith and work through the lens of the prophets Isaiah and Obadiah. And in this, for me, I'm just looking at the sacredness of all professional and personal arenas that we are going through. If I can jump straight to my testimony, because looking at the examples of these prophets is a little bit of experience I have in the past. Got saved in 1985, and then 1993, then I received the calling for ministry. At that time, when you were called, it was said that you must be full-time, you must be in full-time ministry. That means you must stop working. Then when I felt this age of going to ministry, then I felt like if I'm doing the right thing, I must stop working. Fortunately, before I made that decision, I went to an elderly pastor I knew in the area, and then asked and told him that this is what I'm feeling. I think God tells me to stop working. And he asked me just one simple question and say, okay, you have to go to Bible school. And also you are going to be married, because I was 28 years at that time. So then how are you going to get married if you are not working then? Then this is when I started looking back and said, hey, so it means I need to work. It does not mean that because God has called me, I should stop working now. I may have to stop working in the future. But then I realized that this was the challenge of that time, almost all over. This is what we grew knowing. Full-time ministry meant that you are not working anywhere. And I experienced this because then eventually in 1996, I was in Bible school, and then I had to stop in 1997 to go and work, because I was now going to be married, yet I had started Bible school. My colleagues there, I was ridiculed. I was thought as someone who has fallen in grace because I've gone to work. And guess what? I was working in a Christian organization, preaching, doing, service for God. But because I was just working, I was termed as a fallen pastor. And fortunately, I came back and finished, and I did all my studies. I'm even training some of those pastors. So it means this, when we look at this ministry of these prophets, basically the public engagement and advocacy, that means we have to be able to see and say, it calls for someone who understands what's happening, and at the same time, it's our duty as leaders, especially as pastors, to make sure that the people we are leading are taught the right thing, because otherwise, I can say even right now, that's why you find that there are people who are in the pulpit who are not supposed to be in the pulpit. If I look at Isaiah, basically, this prophetic call occurred during a time of significant national crisis. I mean, the death of a king, which set a stage for the urgent messages of hope and correction. His ministry addressed the immediate needs of the people and the nation. So he was involved, yet basically he was not like the prophets who were moving around outside everywhere, preaching, going to mountains and everything. But you can see that he was influencing leadership across eras in that time. He maintained, even though he was a courtier prophet in that case. So you can see here that his career of prophesying, it was during the reigns of different kings in Judah. He was counseling them, warning them, influencing the direction and everywhere. So he didn't stop what he was doing there. So, and he had a wide range of audience in that case, political advisor to kings, a champion of social justice. He was engaging through cultural narratives. So you can see that Isaiah basically was a reformer, social reformer, advocating for justice. Even in that position he was holding there. So we can see just clearly from that as leaders, especially as pastors, my duty is to just put it again in front of us and say, this is a real challenge that we have to start even right now, revisit and make sure that we tell the people. Because basically what normally happens, dear leaders, like for instance, the faith in all aspects of life is one of the things that has been neglected in that case. It's like we must have faith when we are in church, then outside church, then we cannot do anything. And that's why you find in our communities, justice, morality, and the social well-being, and still these truths are not taught enough, because people feel that if they are leading in the community, then they are not in the church. And that's something very difficult. I even heard someone yesterday on media saying that when you are a political leader, stop talking about the Bible. Don't quote the Bible. Here we are here for the political whatever endeavor, not for the church. So you can see that this thing is right here with us even right now, which therefore we need to change our thinking. For me, this is something that is very, very touching in terms of our community. Now, I will not even say much on Obadiah, because I can see that his environment was even hostile, looking at when he was, leading or prophesying at that time. He was almost like a secret servant, protecting the faithful in his position. So he didn't stop working for Christ even at that time. So just in a few words, I would say that the true example of ministry is when we understand work. And the writer of the Campus Financial book there, he says, it has been said that in a lifetime, average lifetime of a person, people work 100,000 hours. But in those 100,000 hours in the lifetime, they are full of discouragement. People are discouraged because they feel they are in the wrong place. I mean, there are many factors, but that one is taking the lead, because they feel like I am in this work, I need to come out and be in a pulpit ministry. And as a result, you find that in the pulpit ministry, there are people who are not supposed to be there, but because the pastors basically, they have displayed pulpit ministry as the only thing that you can do if you are called. So true calling is when you are doing pastoring in that case. So I believe it is a high time to make sure that we encourage people to be faithful in all our endeavors and in all our life, basically our daily moments and environments, whether it be workplaces, schools, homes. And these are opportunities to share the God's love and truth, recognizing that our mission field is wherever we are. That allows us also to view every interaction as a chance of reflecting God's grace and justice in our lives. In that few words, I believe we have a challenge, especially in the church leaders, pastors, which I've interacted quite a lot with. I believe also this is a world that often lacks virtue, and our faithfulness stands as a testament to God's presence in every sphere. And then when we do that, we will be able to achieve the goal of the kingdom, because we're kingdom-minded, basically. And our work, if we do work and we change people's minds to realize that working is not necessarily an enemy, but we need to, everywhere we are in our space, we need to realize God must be promoted, or must be taught there, or we must represent God. It be it a boardroom, a classroom, a kitchen, or even construction site, we have to see it as our cathedral. Someone says that, so we do our work as we are working for God. So basically, briefly, for me, it's through my testimony, basically, to say that I've seen this, it's a reality. And if we do that, we're embracing our ministry in a rightful way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sam. And we appreciate that, your opening speech. So last not the least, and because also he's our state elder on the platform, this time I'm going to call on Dr. Julius to come from the angle of developing agency with his over 40 years experience. How does this connect? How do we be a transformational leader, even in those spheres of life? Dr. Julius, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
It's always a delight to be in this forum. We are reflecting on the contrasting models of the leadership of Obadiah, the chief of staff of King Ahab. Let's remember, chief of staff of King Ahab in an exalted position. And we are also talking about Professor Elijah, who also served as the messenger of God. Both of them served under the perilous reign of this evil king. Let's note that. Both of them served God faithfully and courageously. Faithfully and courageously. They had different areas of service under challenging and in challenging situation, but faithfully and courageously. One was in a conspicuous Elijah, a prophet, for the nation. Obadiah was serving quietly, inconspicuously in the palace. Let's note it. Some of us may have a calling of being the limelight, while others are behind the scene. Social development is what I'm asked to consider. It's one area of engagement of the church corporate, parachurch organizations, and of some individual Christians. It is generally not a glamorous calling. Let's also note that it is in the core of Christianity. The word diaconia, those of us recognize that expression in theology. Serving others in practical terms. Diaconia is service in practical terms, but specifically the compassionate practical care which Christians give to other people. Compassionate practical care, following Jesus' example. Actually, diaconia is defined as expression of God's love, which he has put in us, radiated to outside people. So it is out expressing God's love. Let us also recognize that in most cases, service is more or less menial, hand-on social development. Poverty alleviation and inclusivity for the marginalized, the underprivileged, and other vulnerable groups are basic goal of social development. One church had a program which they called Shalom of the Slums. Shalom of the Slums. That is what diaconia is. The underprivileged, the vulnerable, and the underserved. I want to quickly mention that when we are talking of those in need, they are most often are the outcasts, even physically located at the outskirts of town. Let me ask you, what are the hardship areas of your country? When you talk about districts, which ones are the hardship areas of your country where people fear to be transferred to? That is where diaconia is most needed. In fact, we had one person, the head of evangelism in the church where I was attending in Nairobi, was transferred to a remote northern rice area. And people contacted him, he said people contacted him and said, "What have you done to the bishop?" Well, it means you must have offended to transfer you to that place. Now, that is what diaconia is all about. Hardship areas. Is that your calling? Most often, what kind of clergy gets to that area? Which kind of clergy stay in the capital cities? We are talking of transformational leadership. In fact, some people say that leaders fear to retire because they are located in cities and capitals. Retirement will mean what? Going back
to the village.
And they dread it seriously. So what we are talking about is, has God called you into such environments? What we are talking about now is talking to even those of us in whichever area we are. How do you view this area of service? What provisions do you make in your headship for those in this area of service? Let's think about it. Do you, in fact, consider them in your, when they are talking of promotion, do you remember the clergy in such areas? Because the ones you see every day are the ones in the headquarters. We are talking about transformational leadership. Consider those who are in the inconspicuous areas, but who are in the area of need. I want to note that God gave us a marking scheme of what the judgment day will be. You remember the parable where Jesus said, I was a stranger. You did not take me in. I needed accommodation. You didn't take me in. I was sick. You didn't visit me. And people said, you? Where was that? And he says, there are people among you who are my people in need, and you did not serve them. So what we are talking about diaconia is that it is meeting needs, practical needs. And most often, it is not in the limelight. And most often, it is not a vocation that we take on. We are talking about transformational leadership, the leadership that recognizes this. I want to note that in the church, let's say God even used that yesterday. I was sick, you didn't visit me. I was a stranger, you didn't needed accommodation, you didn't take me in. I know that Pentecostals won't believe that God will use that criterion in judgment on the last day. But he said that is what he will use. How would you yourself feel? What will be your score if that is marking scheme for you? We are talking of diaconia, practical ways of meeting needs. In your own life, what provision have you made for that area? Diaconia is reaching to those in need. I want to note that it focuses on the poor, the underprivileged. It also includes, it's not only Christians, non-Christians. There is a phrase in Romans chapter 15, verse 32. It says, I, Paul, am going to Jerusalem to bring contributions to the poor among the saints. The poor among the saints. I know as Pentecostals, we won't believe that there are poor people among the saints. Those who are saints are usually those who are the top, they are head and not the tail. By our definition, those who are saints are those who are having all the benefits of life. But diaconia includes this area of koinonia, because koinonia is enrich, fellowship of believers. So when we are talking of leadership, does your leadership include this? When you are leading people, do you take cognizance of enrich, koinonia for the poor among the saints? So we are talking about hidden service, both as a calling, but also incorporated in what you are doing in your own leadership. I want to note that one of the evidence of transformed life is to meet the need of the others. Jesus says the greatest commandments, love God with all your heart, with all your spirit, with all your soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. And James and even John say that love is evidenced in your meeting the need of your brother in the fellowship, but also the non-believers. The Good Samaritan met the need of unknown person, which the Bible calls his neighbor. So we are talking of transformational leadership. Are you a transformed person? The Bible talks about an expression, use the bowels of mercy. The bowels of mercy are evidence of salvation. Bowels of mercy. Deep, heartfelt compassion and empathy are actually a part of the evidence of spiritual transformation. Do you have deep, heartfelt compassion and empathy? Is that experience in the church under you? Are you experiencing it? Are you displaying it yourself? Let us recognize the scripture says, pure and undefiled before God is this, to visit the orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. That's James 1:27. So we are talking about something that is evidence of transformed life. Is that being experienced by you as a leader yourself? Are you aware of the need to provide for this service in the church? Diaconia interfaces with kerygma. Kerygma is the overt proclamation, oral proclamation of the gospel. A person with empty stomach will hardly be attentive to gospel proclamation. Mission has to go hand in hand with interventions that address material needs of the people. Is that taking place under your leadership? Acts of mercy normally touches the human heart. Yes, material aid should not be used as a bait to get people to your church to listen. But definitely, if you are really evidencing the love of God, you will you will address the material need of people. And in Africa, we have that in abundance. People say that the church leaders are growing fatter and the members are groaning. Is that the case in your church? That people are, it's as if the people are not serving the servant of God, or people are now serving the headquarters. The remote, underserved parishes are serving the headquarters. Is that true or false? In fact, we had in Nigeria one GO who sacked some clergy who are not bringing money from some remote districts. He said they are not productive. Where productivity means how much do you bring to the center? So we are talking of diaconia. What is that with respect to transformation leadership? I have a lot to say, but I want to note that part of diaconia is addressing social injustice. Diaconia has to talk about the ills of the country. It is Archbishop Camarão of Brazil who said, when I feed the poor, they call me a saint. When I ask, why are the poor poor? Why are they not having food? They call me a communist. The root cause of poverty is social injustice, and diaconia addresses that. It talks to power. It talks about social reforms, political transformation, and that is why both the diaconia person and the prophet share the need to talk to power. They share the need to have courage to talk. We could see as I close that this has a lot of effects. We all recall the struggle of the church in South Africa on apartheid. The anti-apartheid movement was spearheaded by the church. The pro-democracy struggle in Kenya was spearheaded by the church. So what we are saying is the call for social justice brings transformation to the community, to the nation. But it is embedded in the Christian calling, and we want to have attention to it. So that which is said to be inconspicuous behind the scene will also be conspicuous in some respects. But whether it is inconspicuous or not, it brings transformation. And as a leader, you must incorporate diaconia in your life and also promote it in church. That is where I want to end. I'm asked to answer some questions, but maybe I will keep that till when we are asking questions.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Julius. Well, friends on the platform, a lot have been said this morning. Issues have been raised, and I know that many of us, we have questions, and also, not only that, the fact that we have different aspects being addressed, or we look at this topic from different areas or spheres of life, from Dr. Alice, speak from political and business leader angle, and where we have Dr. Professor Femi Eson from academic point of view, and Dr. Sam from church leadership, and Dr. Julius from developing agency affairs. So I know this cannot but to have raised some questions, ideas, or for clarity that needed. So I will say that the floor is open now for maybe you have comment, you have a question. Please, this is your time. We still have 20 minutes to engage. So over to us. Raise up your hand, indicate, use the sign to indicate if you want to speak, and we will give you the platform to do that. But let me quickly go to our chat and just, and you can even pick this from the chat as well. There's been some comment there, and that is Pastor James from Malawi. Church leader can be sustainable in the compromise system. This is powerful, and that is coming from what Dr. Alice presented in the area of speaking to power, that we can still flourish as a Christian within the difficult compromise environment, which alluded to even what we see in the life of Obadiah and also Elijah. And also Pastor James also went on to say the two leaders in the book of First King both represented the boldness and faithfulness. And so just making comment based on what has been said. So spiritual growth is the foundation of spiritual transformation. That is right. I mean, I can add to that. And also we have our sister Rosalind from Mauritius, powerful, and that is a response to Professor some powerful expose, and Pastor James come back again. I think we have Pastor James really engaging on the platform today a lot. That's good. Some are called to serve in the limelight and other auspicious environment. Take note. Okay, Pastor Elijah from Malawi also said, thank you so much, sir, for this eye-opening teaching. And we have Dr. Nipazi have a question. Say, why is it that church are failing to confront social injustice perpetrated by the government? I think that is a good question. We bring that up. So that is, we have one question there. I don't know, any of the speaker want to engage with that? That is a Dr. Nipazi question. Why the church leader failing to confront social injustice perpetrated by the government? Any response from the panelists?
If I can start.
Yes, please.
I think one of the reasons which I've seen is exactly what we were talking about, this divide we are talking about. They feel like they are not supposed to be involved in that. Their main duty is to preach the word of God. So as a result, they keep quiet even when they are not supposed to be. Yet the Bible is full of examples whereby it's encouraging leaders to speak for those who are weak. And it's our duty, but we speak it in a kingdom way, not necessarily like the world does it. But at the end, you find that leaders keep quiet in everything in fear of like they're intruding in another space. Their space is only spiritual. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, TK. I would like to add on what Dr. Samuel was saying. For me, it's again that some church leaders they fear to, how can I say, that speaking prophetically against injustice might lead them to intimidation or withdrawals of privilege that the church supposed to have, or even persecution. So this fear most of the time for me can be silence the church moral, because it, speaking justice or criticizing government from where I sit, I, s- I, I sit at the government, but when it's wrong, it's wrong and needs to be said. So for me, I think prophetic engagement that church supposed to bring can speaks to values and justice, not because they are really parties or politicians. Because if we silence the face of injustice, uh, we are mistaken what God wants the church to be doing. We are diverting the people from God to enjoy peace. So for me, I think it's very important for churches to be firm, but also confronting what is it's injustice. So for me, I think that it's where we need, it's where really when we are talking about this situation from the perspective of in politics, but you divert with your constituents, but you remain faithful to biblical conviction. And I believe that this is possible to work with serving people differently, but also I believe that silence sometimes become disobedience, which is not, but faithfulness most of the times can influence behind the scene. So I think we need, as church, we need to confront without even compromising what exactly is the role of the church. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Pro?
Thank you so much for this opportunity once again. Asas, I think we will be sitting down here and lying to ourselves if we think that the government will listen to us without the power of influence. Uh, by the grace of God, I work in the political arena, and one of the things that we need to deconstruct is the mentality of the separation between the church and the state. And then when you're talking about the issue of the calling, we have been erroneously indoctrinated that we should not get engaged with the marketplace of politics and governance. And therefore, we sat down to pray without influencing the marketplace of politics and government. And so, for them to listen to us, to influence to us, why should they listen to us? That's the first question. What are the impact? What are the influence? And as we know that the greatest leader that ever exists on this planet, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, talk about the church as the salt of the earth. And the SWOT is talking about influence and coming about transformational leadership. How do we transform the marketplace of governance? It is until we have result that is based on quality and value system. We need to influence the government because after all, the greatest power that influences your life and my life after God is political power, and we need to invade that to make changes. We have to invade that arena through the marketplace calling. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Julius, I will come to you, but let's attend to Angels. Please come on. Yeah, over to you. You raise up your hand first. Agnes.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, mine is a question. The church and politics. My question is, how does the church address some of the injustices? Because we tend to leave it to the politicians. As a church, we tend to leave it to the politicians, that the ones who are supposed maybe to address some of the things that are there, including even for our church members. And the last speaker had mentioned that you'd find that in Africa, the pastors are fat and the church members are lean, more or less like they're not benefiting. Because I believe the giving in the church is supposed to help the widow, the orphans, and all that. But we leave it to the government to address maybe issues of poverty. How can the church effectively? I know some churches do that, but there are just very few who really address the social injustices that are happening in our societies, including in our churches. How best can we do that, and how effectively can we do that? Because we tend to maybe point at fingers at politicians are the ones who are maybe supposed to do that. What's the role of the church in addressing such injustices, and how do we transform the lives of our members or even the community that we serve? Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes, for your question. I think it's good that I asked you to ask. So, Dr. Julius, will you want to jump on this now?
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to note that the church has a lot of power. It's very influential, but it's underperforming. In fact, it doesn't even know its own potentiality. Let me tell you one area. The members of assembly are supposed to be presenting ideas for bills. They are called lawmakers, ideas for addressing issues. Most often, they lack ideas, they lack inputs. The church is so resourced with people who have ideas and insights to the national solutions to national problems. If let us start engage in drafting bills, approaching our constituency representatives, feed them with ideas and do the groundwork for addressing issues. Let them even have it and present. Don't say they will not do anything. I remember during the constitutional review in Kenya, the one person in charge of security coming to the church, he says there are all sorts of memorandums, all sorts of issues, but on security, I have not got memoranda to present. Please, church people, think about how we can improve security, physical security in this country. all the conflicts and all that. People are not giving idea. Please supply us with insights. I would want to mobilize us as church leaders to open the eyes of our people in feeding our government representatives with solution options which they can present. They meet every day. Most often, because they are not having ideas, they meet only to distribute posts and benefits. But their job is to formulate ideas and make policy. They are called policy makers. Please, let's insightfully work and feed them with proposals. It needs a lot of background research and facts. The other point is budget monitoring. Budget monitoring is an area where I was engaged in evaluating some districts, and it is very powerful. Can the church start monitoring the budgets, both the national budgets as well as national budgets? Your regional budgets, they reach millions that are voted. How much has been spent? Please let the church engage in budget monitoring. I know that if the church does it as a body, it will not be picked up. But if you do it as an individual, they can say it's the opposition who sent you. The Lord help us.
Now, thank you so much, Dr. Julius, for your response. I have a lot of questions here that I intended to raise with all the panelists. And I'm so delighted that the platform, people are chatting, raising issues, and even responding. I will recommend and challenge and motivate every one of us to look at those charts. They are very interesting. Based on what is going on here, I'm just having a thought. We need to unearth, we need to interrogate this subject matter more in details. And I'm already thinking that in the next 2 months, we may want to bring back some of this conversation and address some of the questions. I wouldn't mind even to post it ahead of time so that we come and discuss. Because of our time, we have just 3 minutes to go today. Sorry if we exceed by 5 minutes. I have a comment that I want to leave with us today as we look forward to what's to come. On the issue of the church and politics, I think there's still the element of creating dichotomy. And until when we start have a mindset change from moving from secular and sacred, we are not going to get out of this challenge or problem. And I think church have a vital role to play as to the level of the teaching and discipleship program, the teaching within that, the material, what we teach the member for minded change to see themselves not only on Sunday as being spiritual, the rest of the week is something else. Because when we talk about politicians, are they only Muslim? The politicians, are they only non-Christian? No. They are Christian. And even many of us on this platform, we are Christian. We are all Christian. Okay? And not all of us were in full-time ministry. Many of us on the platform were also in the market space. But the truth is that, how am I influencing my marketplace? Taking the principle from Obadiah, and Elijah. Many of us on this platform, we are inside ambassador. You may not be direct inside ambassador, but you are connected with inside ambassador. How are you influencing them? How am I influencing them to see themselves as the servant of God in that space? And this has to do with educating one another from the pulpit, those of us who are pastoring church. This has to do influencing one another, even some of them that we have as friends. Some of us, we are well connected with the people in power. But how are we influencing them? That is the big question. So, as we conclude this panel discussion today, remember the key messages from 1 Kings 18. God is at work through diverse expression of faith ambassadorship. Whether you are operating as an ambassador, working quietly within the system, or Elijah speaking prophetically from outside, your faithful present matter, friends. My faithful present matters. The church needs both inside ambassador and prophetic voice in every sphere of our society, political, business, academic, and even within the church and development agency. And that is what I'm hearing tonight, this morning, from even the panelists. Most importantly, we need Christians who recognize that that whatever God has positioned them, that is their mission field. Tim Keller wrote a book called Every Good Endeavor. I've shared it on the platform. His argument was that every good work is God's work. So some of us will be in the secular or professional arena. We are there as an ambassador. Remember, we are Christ's ambassador wherever we are. Mine and yours, spheres of influence, is our mission field. God has equipped us for our particular calling through what we are doing. And it may be a quiet or it may be a bold one. Quiet diplomacy, Professor Esson, sometimes when we talk, and God is doing wonders as an attaché within the Côte d'Ivoire consular office in Malta there, and I think something is coming up for Nigeria. And other parts, how am I influencing those people? As an academic, our sister, Dr. Alice, talk about being a commissioner for electoral. We all know what commissioner for electoral commission, what it means. It's an hot seat. So God has deposited each one of us, that Dr. Sam, within the theological arena. How am I influencing theological institutions around the world? I mean, in Eswatini. And Dr. Julius challenges us from developing agency point of view. As all these speakers have shared their engagement and their influence, let's translate that to ourselves. In my little corner, in my country, in my little office, am I representing him well? So I pray his grace will be sufficient. The story of Tertullian always ring at the back of my mind. Tertullian was one of the early church fathers, operate within the AD 300 to AD 350. Tertullian is from Tunisia. And the king of Tunisia then, the king of Carthage, was aiming to destroy all Christians, those who believe in Christ. He's not only a theologian, he uses influence to talk to the king of Carthage to say, well, king, I just want to advise you. You may need to know that what you're about to do may affect your nephew, your cousin, your children, and even your wife, because this faith you're about to attack has infiltrated into every aspect of your kingdomship. And Tertullian, hearing that, changed his mind. But not because it changed his mind that matters to me here. But what really matters to me and you is the fact that they have infiltrated into the spheres of power, a political arena. So we also have people in the government. How are we influencing them? The other day I was talking to a friend of mine. He is playing a key role on the continent. And everywhere he goes, because of his position, he take picture with the president, he send it to me. At a point I call him. I say, my friend, you know, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't impress me, so you better stop sending me these pictures. I'm not, you know me, not because I'm a bit jealous of you in any way, no. But you're meeting with them. Why are you influencing them? Because we know this president, we know this one, we know what he's doing. And you are just parading yourself around them. How are you influencing them with the truth that you know, that you have? That is what matters to me. And that is what matters to the kingdom. I leave off with that challenge this morning. May this year be a great year of being a transformation leader in a leader in whatever God has called us. Thank you so much, all the presenters, the panelists. We are so happy. We are so glad to have you. Thank you for your wisdom and all the contribution on the chat by the participant. Thank you so much. I want to appreciate also all the people that join us and those who are joining us for the first time. Let me say this platform is for everyone. There is no special treatment. We are all learning from one another. So we will encourage you, if you want to be part of this platform, please put down your name, your number. Definitely we will reach out to you and we will have you on the platform. We meet every second Saturday of the month. And we want to encourage you to consider being part of us. So we don't charge, it's for free. It has been said, what you don't pay for, you don't value it. But I will say, we want to be a blessing because we have been blessed to be a blessing. However, we have other training that we attract some charges. All these panelists, we didn't pay them. This is a lot if we want to pay them for this. And if these people can give their time to be a blessing to us, we felt that we need to make a forum whereby people can come and be sharpened and be challenged for effectiveness in their areas of service. So we want to say thank you to all the panelists. We want to say thank you to you, all the participants as well. I want to quickly just give us some quick lineup for the year. We should remember, and I will ask Professor Eson to quickly speak to that before we wrap up. We have a course starting next month on biblical psychology. This is a course that will attract some, it's a 7 month, and it's going to be a certificate will be awarded, which is accredited, and it can be a step into the high height. So I will want Professor Eson to speak briefly into that before we wrap up, before we pray. But also I want to let us know there are other events, program that we'll be introducing that we know that will be a benefit to you. Please, let's take note of what can be a benefit to us that we'll be introducing to us. We want to give a privilege. If you have a church, this is church. You have a church. At the moment, you don't have a website of your own for your church. This is church. You don't have a website, please let us know. We are trusting God that through, and this is only for the member on the platform. If you have a church, you are on the platform, this is what they call platform membership privilege. Let us know. We want to trust God to be able to set your church to have a website. Please reach out to me, and shortly also we will put a notice on the platform that you can register your interest, and then we'll be able to take things up with you and tailor your website as it fits your organization. So some may be say, so how much are they going to charge? Yes, we will discuss that, but it's not going to be, we want to trust God to journey with your church along that area. It could be, we will assess the situation, but also it's not money making. It's going to be free to some, completely free to some. We just want to be a blessing to us as we move forward in our service to the kingdom. Okay, so like I said, it's going to be for members of the platform. So please take note of that, so that if we are not a member of the platform, if we don't consider you, we don't want it to be, oh, but he said, no, it's not for free for all. It's just the membership, platform member privilege and the benefit as well. Okay, so, Sir Professor Esson, will you quickly speak briefly to February program, Biblical Psychology? Thank you.
Thank you once again, Reverend, and it's a great privilege and honor to be among these esteemed scholars and the people of God. By the grace of God, we'll be starting the program next month, Biblical Psychology. And why is it important? As we know that man is a tribe. Man is a spirit, has a living body, and we believe that the 21st century pastoral care should be psychologically informed. And biblical psychology is based on the teachings of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And so we are expecting men of God, counselors, Bible teachers to come and engage in this knowledge, so that they will be equipped, to understand that theology is not only affecting the spirit. Your theology also affects the psychology of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we look forward for you to express your interest. I will repost it on the platform again. For those who may be saying, what is that? I will repost it in order for you to register. It's starting next month. And we look forward for you to join us and to be part of that training. You are going to get certificate at the end of it, and it's a certificate that is recognized and also accredited with the university from Professor Esson. It's in collaboration with LDI, and we trust God that you'll be able to be part of it. Well, as we wrap up today, I want to say thank you once again.